Here's another story for you, focusing on the life of a character named James. This story is designed to improve English speaking and listening skills while keeping the narrative engaging. Title: The Unexpected Path. James's story. My name is James, and if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be living the life I have today, I wouldn't have believed you. Life has a funny way of taking you on paths you never imagined, and my journey has been full of twists and turns. Let me take you back to where it all began. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. My family wasn't wealthy, but we had enough to get by. My father worked at the local factory, and my mother was a teacher. I was the youngest of 3 brothers, and while my brothers were more interested in sports and being outdoors, I loved reading and writing. Books were my escape. They took me to places far away from my quiet little town, places where adventures happened. In school, I wasn't the most popular kid. I was quiet and a little shy, but I always had good grades. My teachers would often tell me that I had potential, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew was that I wanted something different, something bigger than what the town had to offer. When it came time to choose a university, I decided to study literature. I loved stories, so it made sense to me. However, the problem was that I didn't know what kind of job I could get with a degree in literature. My family wasn't thrilled with my choice. They wanted me to study something more practical, like engineering or business. But I followed my heart and went to university to study what I was passionate about. University was a turning point for me. For the first time, I was surrounded by people who shared my love for books and writing. I made new friends, and I started to come out of my shell. I also began to write more seriously, working on short stories and poems in my free time. One of my professors took notice and encouraged me to submit my work to magazines and competitions. I was hesitant at first, but with his support, I started sending my stories out. To my surprise, a few of my short stories were published in small literary magazines. It wasn't much, but it was enough to give me confidence in my writing. I started to dream of becoming a published author. But life, as it often does, had other plans. After graduation, I struggled to find a job. The reality hit me hard. I had a degree in literature, but no real work experience, and writing full-time wasn't paying the bills. So I took a job at a local bookstore. It wasn't my dream job, but it was close to books, and I enjoyed recommending novels to customers. One day, while working at the bookstore, I met a man named Mr. Lewis. He was a regular customer, always browsing the philosophy section. We started talking, and it turned out he worked at a publishing company. He asked me about my background, and I told him about my degree and my love for writing. To my surprise, he offered me an internship at his company. I couldn't believe my luck. I accepted the internship and began working part-time at the publishing company while continuing my job at the bookstore. The internship gave me insight into the publishing world, and I learned about editing, marketing, and how the industry really worked. The turning point. During my time at the publishing company, something unexpected happened. One of the senior editors left the company, and they needed someone to fill the role temporarily. Since I had been interning for a few months and knew the basics, they offered me the position on a trial basis. At first, I was overwhelmed. I had never been in such a responsible role, and I felt like an imposter. But with time, I started to get the hang of it. I worked closely with authors, helping them develop their manuscripts, and I found that I enjoyed the process of editing just as much as writing. Slowly, the trial period turned into a permanent position. I had never planned to be an editor, but there I was, working full-time at a publishing company, helping authors bring their stories to life. It was challenging but rewarding. The more I worked in the industry, the more I understood that there were many ways to tell stories, not just as a writer, but as an editor and a guide. A new beginning. Now, 5 years later, I'm still working at the publishing company, but in a much higher position. I've helped publish dozens of books, and I'm proud of the work I do. And guess what? I've even published my own novel. It wasn't an overnight success, but seeing my book on the shelves of the bookstore where I once worked was one of the proudest moments of my life. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life doesn't always go as planned, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes the unexpected path leads you to places you never thought you'd go, and it can be even better than what you imagined. So if you're still figuring things out, don't worry. It's okay not to have all the answers. Keep working hard, keep following your passions, and be open to new opportunities. You never know where life will take you. Key English practice elements in the story. 1. Varied tenses. The story moves between past tense, narrating past experiences, and present tense, reflection on current life, which helps listeners practice understanding and using different tenses. 2. Expressing feelings and lessons. James shares his emotions. I was overwhelmed. I felt like an imposter, and the lessons he learned along the way. This is great practice for expressing personal thoughts and feelings in English. 3. Descriptive vocabulary. The story uses a lot of descriptive language related to personal growth, jobs, and challenges, e.g. hesitant, overwhelmed, trial basis, giving learners useful words and phrases for everyday conversations. 4. Storytelling techniques. The narrative includes dialogue, action, and reflection, making it an engaging way for listeners to practice both comprehension and storytelling in English. This story is designed for speaking and listening practice. Retelling it in your own words or discussing the key points will help reinforce language skills while encouraging fluency.